All right. I think there's no time like the present. We're going to go ahead and begin today. I hope everybody can hear me all right. And welcome to our fifth and final Webinar Wednesday in our Disability Employment Awareness Month Webinar Wednesday series. Today's webinar is called Together We Thrive, ERGs, Bridging the Gap for People with Disabilities and Their Families. As I said, this has been part of the Able Trust Webinar Wednesday series, and we are really excited to close out the month of Disability Employment Month Awareness Month with you all today. And so I want to welcome all of our guests. I want to thank you for joining us today. Little quick housekeeping. Please be sure to use the Q&A feature in all of your submissions. We've got an incredible team that's fielding the questions and saving them for later. Without further ado, we're going to proceed. Next slide. As I mentioned, my name is Donna Wright, and I am our Vice President of Development and Marketing here at the Able Trust. I began my career in special education classroom, however, finding my final career path in the nonprofit world after our children were born and in school. I absolutely love working for the Able Trust, and our mission is very important and very personal to me. So I want to give you a little bit of background, if you haven't joined us before, about the Able Trust. Next slide. The Able Trust was created by the Florida legislature in 1990 as a DSO, or a direct service organization for vocational rehabilitation in Florida. Since our establishment, our work has focused on increasing the opportunities for Floridians with disabilities to join the workforce. Looking forward to the next 30 years of operation and beyond, the Able Trust is repositioning our work on disability employment by being the thought leader of workforce disability inclusion. Next slide. Our work at the Able Trust is to position ourselves as the state leader for disability employment. And that consists of three major strategic priorities: research, outreach, and capacity building. The Able Trust is the thought leader that shares data, not just economic data, but evidence-based research, which best practices. This will better equip us to meet our stakeholders where they are, and will help us to raise awareness, make connections, and build collaborations between employers, educators, career service providers, elected officials, community leaders, and more. Next slide. Research shows that about 1 out of every 4 individuals in the world has at least one disability. Individuals will likely experience living with a disability, be it temporary, like a broken arm, situational, like unable to understand the speaker in a noisy room or on a webinar, permanent at some point in their lives. But I think what most people don't know, as we move to our next slide, is that more than 70% of persons with disabilities have a disability that you can't see, an invisible disability. These are ones such as learning disabilities, health conditions, depression, pandemic, for example. Based on these statistics, it's highly likely you already have employees, coworkers, and other peers with disabilities that you just may not be aware of. Keeping that statistic regarding invisible disabilities in mind, the Able Trust is a disability-neutral organization. Our support for disability inclusion in the workplace does extend to all levels, from all entry-level positions all the way to the C-suite. So some of the faces that you see in front of you, you may even recognize a few of these. You'll see I'm kind of going from my top left of my screen across and down: a college professor and journalist, a fitness trainer and successful small business owner, a bagger at Publix, an ice cream shop owner, a nonprofit executive, a manufacturing machine operator, a hotel beverage cart attendant, a hospital therapy assistant, and an ICU nurse. The good news is that the number of Floridians with disability who are employed continues to increase each year. From 2017 to 2021, there was nearly a 20% increase. This is great news. You may have recently read about businesses targeting talent as they try to reach their hiring goals, and persons with disabilities are one of those key groups on which they focus their searches. We are already seeing the employment of persons with disabilities as business and industries leaders are looking to help them fill the workplace shortage. If we move over to our next slide, again, you heard me mention Disability Employment Awareness Month, and we want to continue the momentum that we were sharing with you before with that 20%. And to do this crucial thing, it's no better time of year than as we're coming off of Disability Employment Awareness Month. We at the Able Trust work all year round to promote disability employment. We had a great and productive time in the month of October, working with our partners across the state to shine a light on the contributions of Floridians with disabilities make to our workforce. Our theme for DEAM this year was Fueling Workplace Ambition, demonstrating that people with disabilities are ambitious and have the work and skills and to make meaningful additions to the workforce. What a better way to start each workday than with a cup of tea or a cup of coffee or any beverage that fuels your day. So we ask, often, and throw it up in the chat if you want to. We get all kinds of different things. So what fuels your workplace ambition? It could be that cup of coffee or a little bit of caffeine. It could be a lot of things. It could be workplace culture. It could be knowing that you're doing a great job and receiving reinforcement at work. It could be a great salary that you're comfortable with that's meeting your needs. And so we want to hear from people, not just in the month of October each year, but all year long, about what fuels the workplace ambition. On the screen here too, you're going to see some of our sponsors once again that we just couldn't do the month of October and really year long without. And we'd be remiss if we didn't thank this outstanding slate of Disability Employment Awareness Month sponsors. They have done everything from joining us at events to help making Webinar Wednesdays and all of our time together in October a huge success. I actually believe we have a few of our sponsors joining us on our webinar today. And speaking of sponsors, we are thrilled to have a special guest to introduce our panelists today and to introduce the talk today. Miss Angela Perez, a Human Resource Officer and Strategic Project Lead for NextEra Energy. They are also one of our Trailblazer sponsors for DEAM. Angela has been with NextEra for over 20 plus years. Over the years, she's held positions in facilitation, instructional design, project management, leadership, and diversity and inclusion. In her current role, Angela oversees 12 employee resource groups and the Corporate Diversity and Inclusion Council, as well as the Corporate Engagement Initiatives. She has a graduate degree from Palm Atlantic University and a BA in Organizational Leadership. She is a certified instructional designer, and she's earned her Six Sigma Yellow Belt. In her community, she serves on the executive board of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women Incorporated, the West Palm Beach chapter, and is a member of the Urban League Palm Beach County Guild. Angela could not be with us in person today, but she was kind enough to send over a message for us to welcome you today. So we're going to let that play.
Hello, my name is Angela Perez, HR Strategic Project Lead for NextEra Energy. And on behalf of NextEra Energy, I want to welcome you to the Able Trust final webinar of their Webinar Wednesday series. Together we thrive, ERGs bridging gaps for people with disabilities and their families. At NextEra, we are longstanding partners and supporters of the Able Trust and a proud sponsor of Disability Employment Awareness Month, or DEAM as we call it. Disability and inclusion is important to NextEra because inclusion of people with diverse abilities is essential to how we innovate and come up with creative solutions to solve challenges and do business. Individuals with disabilities offer unique perspectives and are an important part of our company's diversity and inclusion strategy. The Alliance for People with Disabilities is our ERG, or Employee Resource Group, and we honor DEEM all year with this signature month and campaigns and events throughout the year to support the company's inclusion efforts for employees with disabilities. Employees with disabilities or individual disabilities are important to me because I have loved ones who also have disabilities that I have been able to see grow into adults and be a part of society. And society has treated them in a way that has made them feel like there is no disability and they're always included. Today, you will hear from 3 more outstanding companies in Florida who are committed to disability inclusion in the workplace, as well as supporting their employees who may have family members with a disability. I wish I could be there with you in person today, but I know you are in for a real treat, and I hope you take lots of great information. We commend the Able Trust on their mission and hope you enjoy.
That was awesome. I wish that she could have joined us today. She was actually in flight at this time. Otherwise, she would have been here with her smiling face live. We're grateful for Florida Power and Light Next Era Energy. Now, let's get to the you've all been waiting for. We have some incredible children, Tammy Martinez, Kristen Smith, and we're going to get a chance to learn more soon. I want to start by introducing Miss Abby Childress. Abby Childress is the manager of pharmacy sale operations at Florida Blue. Also, she serves as the chairperson of Florida Blue's Possibilities community. Abby began her career at Florida Blue in 2007 and has worked a wide range of positions within the company with a focus on large group commercial business. Thanks to her friendships, connections, and their understanding of her desire to do good for others, Abby came to be a part of the Possibilities board she now chairs. Through the Possibilities team and community, she has come to learn about disabilities and has used that knowledge to research and advocate for the best interests of individuals with disabilities at her company. I'm going to turn the floor or the screen over to you, Abby.
Thank you. So as Donna was saying, I am the chair for Possibilities, and here at Possibilities, we are dedicated to supporting our employees, their families, our members, everyone and all Floridians, everyone that lives here, whether it's year-round, a few months out of the year, who have a disability, whether it's visible or invisible. And we use that to help teach our employees how to advocate not only for themselves, but those that they love and those that are in our communities that have disabilities. And I can speak to the advocacy part, like Donna was saying. I got involved with Possibilities because I have a desire to help others. And I want to see my friends that have individuals in their lives with disabilities get treated just like everyone else. And so I was asked to join Possibilities. Through that process, I learned a lot about myself and the fact that I actually have invisible disabilities, and I have not suffered, but I've had them for many, many years. I used to have severe migraines. I'd carry a migraine injection with me 24/7. That's how bad they were. And then I was just diagnosed with ADD recently. But through that process, it also helped me to learn what to look for and when to speak up and how to advocate for others. And I was able to help my son get an IEP in first grade for one prong of auditory processing disorder. And it's the competing sentences prong, which normally doesn't get diagnosed, especially in boys, until probably middle school. And at this point, he's a thriving 4th grader who probably would have already failed 2 grades at least if he had not been diagnosed and gotten the assistance that he requires in school. So I want to help others do that. And that's what we do here at Blue. We help you and we help our members learn how to not only advocate and speak up for themselves, but how to advocate and speak up for others. And we're there to advocate for them until they can do that. So that's the reason I'm here.
Thank you, Abby. I've had the chance to join the Possibilities group before on behalf of the Able Trust, and it's always eye-opening and enlightening and quite inspiring every time I see your face and I hear from you and that group. And so thank you for being here and sharing with us today. Next, I will like to turn it over to Paul Spann. And Paul is joining us from Kennedy Space Center. And I want to share a little with you about Paul. Paul is an accountant at the NASA Kennedy Space Center. He's worked in this position for 5 years. Born deaf and raised in Morristown, New Jersey, Paul attended the Rochester Institute of Technology in Rochester, New York, a school with support programs for the deaf or hard of hearing. He transferred to the University of South Florida in Tampa, where he completed a bachelor degree of science and degree in management information systems. Paul ultimately completed his studies in 2013 with a Master of Science degree in accounting and financial services from the University of Maryland. Paul, turn it over to you.
Thank you, Donna, for the introduction. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. As you stated, Paul Spann from the Kennedy Space Center, and I'm happy to be here to share our experiences with our ERG group, which is the Employee Resource Group at Kennedy Space Center. And I'm sorry that Nicole is not here. She is the longest member of DOG. She's been with DOG for about 29 years, and she would happily tell you all the how DOG was set up and everything. So I'll do my best to cover for her. Disability Awareness and Action Working Group. Our mission is to support and include all employees at Kennedy Space Center, which is part of NASA, to ensure that they have their needs met. Our number one mission is to provide reasonable accommodation for people, all different types of disabilities. I just want to read what the mission is at Kennedy Space Center. We are committed to the empowerment, integration, employment, and full inclusion of every one of our employees with a disability. I've been involved with DOG since I started with the Kennedy Space Center 5 years ago. And I'm always happy to support Kristen and Nicole. They both are co-chairs for the group. We have two senior management people that are executive co-champion. One's name is Scott Wilson. He's responsible for the Orion operations, which is the capsule for the space launch system rocket that will go up to the moon for Artemis program. And you have another co-executive champion. His name is Glenn Samuel. He's part of the Space Integration Group. Those two executive champions support everything that we do to bring awareness throughout the Kennedy Space Center for all people with disability and non-disability. Because we have about 30 or 40 members of the group. We meet on a quarterly basis. We supported several events for Nadine. We had one Nadine event on neurodiversity, which is becoming a very hot topic. I think everyone on the panel here can relate to neurodiversity. And the other one, we had a Nadine event. We talked about the cochlear implant. Nicole and I are both wear cochlear implants, and we tell people how it works and how it has improved. For me, helped me improve my speech, and I can hear more. I have a Bluetooth technology, which is awesome to be able to hear music. About our ERG group, I just want to say one of the main benefits that everyone benefits from our group: employee, family, friends, caregiver, co-workers. Provides a sense of community for families, friends, resources for all, and education. One event I'm very excited about, which is supported by Able Trust. We're having a Disability Awareness Day on November 14th, where students with a disability age 16 and up all throughout Florida have an opportunity to come to the Kennedy Space Center and have a mentor, spend a day with a mentor. And we're very excited. Right now we have 37 students attending, and we have 35 mentors. And I'm just really looking forward to that program. It's been my first year leading the day as a chairperson for the Disability Mentoring Day. And we have several people from Able Trust that are helping recruit the student. But I can't thank Able Trust enough for what they do. And I'm just impressed with everything they do and learning more about them from what Donna just mentioned today. I think I already talked about how we support ERG. We support the dog. Kristen and I are part of the leadership team with Nicole, and we meet on a quarterly basis. And we're trying to gain more membership because a lot of people are retiring. So hopefully we can recruit more people to take their place. We are just so fortunate to work for Kennedy Space Center. We've been voted #1 federal agency to work for in the federal government. And I'm very proud of that. And I think a big part of that is the inclusion value that NASA treasures. And it works for all of us. It makes us stronger as a team. And we all thrive. And I think I'd like to turn it over to Kristen, give her an opportunity to speak about dog and herself. Kristen?
Thanks, Paul. All right, as Paul mentioned, Nicole and I are co-chairs for the Disability Awareness and Working Group. Nicole couldn't be with us today, unfortunately. But some additional items to go over about our amazing ERG here at Kennedy Space Center. At NASA, individuals with disabilities are widely accepted, as Paul had mentioned. We have been voted the #1 place to work in the federal government, so very excited about that. And individuals with disabilities hold a range of different jobs at different levels within NASA, ranging from accountants to scientists to engineers. So very proud of our community and their expertise and what they've been providing to NASA. Also, one of the great reasons to have an employee resource group for those with disabilities can include, as Paul had mentioned, it's a sense of inclusion. You feel like you're part of a community. And it's not just for those with disabilities, but it's also for the caregivers or the family and friends as well, to have a group to go to learn about things, to find resources that may be helpful, or just to learn more about disabilities. Also, the dog leadership acts as an advocate for those within our workforce, especially if there are certain obstacles in the way for employees. It could be something like making sure there are parking spots that are big enough for accessible vehicles, or making your cubicle where you work accessible. For instance, I use a wheelchair, so making accommodations so my wheelchair would fit within my cube. Also making sure there are sign language interpreters as well for those that are hard of hearing. Also the leadership, we also strive to educate and notify supervisors about Schedule A training, which is important for hiring those with disabilities. So that's one of our goals that we continue to work on. And Kennedy Space Center also has a DEIA implementation plan. And within that plan, one of our goals is accessibility and accommodation to make sure any kind of new technology is compliant to Section 508 of the Rehabilitation Act. And also if there's any current technology that is non-compliant, to make sure that comes within compliance. So I'll leave it at that. And thank you for the opportunity today.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Kristen. Exciting to hear that statistic on being #1. We miss Nicole today, but really grateful to have you on. And now I'd like to turn it over to Tammy Martinez, and I want to tell you just a little bit about Tammy for a moment. Tammy Martinez is a total rewards leader for absence and disability management at Johnson & Johnson. And she is the incoming chairperson for the Alliance of Diverse Abilities Employee Resource Group in Tampa. Her primary responsibility is the day-to-day absence management service center and the oversight for service delivery while facilitating efficient operations. Prior to J&J, she worked for Aetna as well as a clinical manager in the specialty pharmacy area, providing support for implementation, management, and maintenance of specialty drug programs. She also served as a nurse manager with Aetna Disability Services, responsible for leading a team managing disability claims. Tammy has a Bachelor's of Science degree in nursing from Coe College in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Tammy, we're really excited to have you here today.
Thank you so much, Donna. And first and foremost, I'd like to thank you and the Able Trust for allowing me to join you as we work and partner together to really work towards expanding disability employment. Disability is a really core piece of everything I do. As a registered nurse, I've obviously worked with many people with multiple injuries or illnesses, whether that be acute or more chronic or permanent situations. And as my role at Johnson & Johnson, I am the total rewards leader for the disability and management for all leaves and disabilities. So I am frequently on a daily basis working with those that have a myriad of conditions. And on a personal note, I have family members that have disabilities as well. So it's really a passion of mine. And to become involved with this ERG, our ERG is really focused on leveraging individuals sharing identities and who share the same identities and affinities and experiences. It's really an opportunity for us to come together and share anything that we want. We meet on a monthly basis for our chapter meetings, and I'm very fortunate to have a strong leadership group that I work with on our ERG. And in our ERG, we have 4 pillars. We have physical abilities and mental health, as well as autism and neurodiversity as well. So we have a wide variety of individuals that we work with to just share those experiences together. So it really brings us together. And as a proud employee of Johnson & Johnson, our ERGs are really a core part of our D&I strategy that we have at J&J. So our D&I, our diverse equity and inclusion strategy is really focused on accelerating global culture of inclusion, driving innovation and growth for our employees, and building a diverse workforce. This is something that we are always striving to do, as well as transforming talent. We know at J&J that no matter what you might be going through or you might be experiencing, we believe that there's a place for everyone in the workforce, and we're committed to that. So our ERG is really focused on our mission to come together to expand our workforce. And we are actually one of 12 ERGs. Again, our ERGs are an important part of our mission here at J&J, focusing on employees, as we feel like employees are a very critical part of what we do. Our credo is one that also encompasses the importance of our employees and what they mean to us. So it's a critical tenet of our credo. So that's why I'm here to really share with all of you the importance of looking at all individuals and not necessarily what they might have going on, but more so partnering together to ensure everyone has equal access to be able to work. So I want to thank you for your time. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Donna.
Thank you, Tammy. Just listening to all of you, it's just very clear that we've got some passionate teammates, ones who not only care about the mission of their organization, but it seems to me that you work for organizations that care very much about their employees and their families and what is going to make them successful at work. And so I'd like to kind of move into some Q&A right now for our attendees that are joining us online. I'd like to remind you to put your questions for our panelists in the Q&A. I've got a few already, but if you've been listening and haven't gotten yours in the chat yet, let's go ahead and be sure to do that, as we've got a few more minutes to talk with these folks and ask some questions. And so I'm going to put a couple of questions out there first. I actually have a lot, so I don't really know where to start. And I am going to start with this one, and I think I'm going to move to, oh heck, I'm just going to let you, one of you let me know, raise your hand if you want to answer this one. So this question says, is from someone watching. I'm the chair of the Disability and Ability Wellbeing Network at Moffitt Cancer Center. I would love tips on how to expand. Thoughts on how to expand to their ERG.
I think one of the ways that we expand, we have a daily news feed that we can write announcements, let people know that our disability awareness and Aston Working Group, we're looking for new members. We'd love to recruit new members and just tell them a little bit about what we do and how we support all employees with a disability, make sure that they're included, and that, that they have a voice to speak up. So that's what we do. That's one way we can do it. We also have events. We have several events throughout the year, and we announce that to the workforce at Kennedy Space Center as well.
Anybody else want to chime in on that one? How to expand?
Yeah, I'd be happy to just add. At J&J, we have several events that we partner not only with our larger ADA ERGs, but we also have local events. So not only do we meet on a monthly basis, but we're constantly looking at our calendars and looking for opportunity where we can partner with various groups and bring awareness. So that's one of the things. And we actually have like a newsletter that we send out each week. We have a person that they're not on the ERG. Well, they are on the ERG, but they're not managing that work. It's more like a campus site. So we have those newsletters, and we also have internal sort of like social media that we can get the word out of different events that may be going on. So that's a couple things that we do.
Yeah. And just from a Florida Blue perspective, we are very similar. We do a little bit of all of these things. So we have different events around the company throughout the year, along with events with our community partners. And then we also try to have a possibilities table available whenever we're having anything at the company where multiple people from around the company will be in attendance. We also have specific regional directors. So if your company has multiple offices, I know Moffitt may or may not because they're centralized there in Tampa, but if you have multiple offices or multiple areas, just find someone that's passionate at the regional level in the regional areas that want to also bring the things to their particular region. So like when we partner for Best Buddies, for instance, we try to get our regional delegates and our regional partners involved to also reach out to the Best Buddies in the regions to see if they can do the same events that we're doing at our massive Jacksonville office.
And Another question that I'd love to hear from all of you on is, what was the catalyst for creating an employee resource group for persons with disabilities and families at your organization? How did it get started?
Yeah, I'd love to start us off on this because I think it's really awesome how we have evolved. Our ERG actually started up in one office in Massachusetts years ago, and it was started by really a group of individuals that had some disabilities, and they felt like they really wanted to get out with other people and share those experiences. So that's really how our ERG started. It was part of what we call the mental health diplomats at Johnson and Johnson, and that evolved into the Alliance for Diverse Abilities (ERG), which has spread throughout various offices throughout the country and globally as well. So that was really exciting. Our particular ADA ERG has been in place in Tampa for the past 6 years, but this started and evolved from a larger or a smaller group, I should say, but grew into an entire ERG across the world, really.
Anybody else on how your ERG started? What was the catalyst for that?
Yeah, so this is Abby. For us, it was for people to have a voice, but it actually formed back in 2006 originally as part of a First Coast Business Leaders Network. And over 2 years of doing different employee surveys and business leader information, it was determined that creating an entire group of people within the employment to represent those that have disabilities or those that love people with disabilities. And so that's how Possibilities came about. We formed that particular group for Florida Blue.
Well, our group, DOG, has been around for 31 years. I do not know how the history of how it started, but I imagine that it started when the ADA law came into effect in 1990. I believe that would have something to do with it. I don't know if Christian might be able to have more information on that. Christian.
Yeah, I know the dog ERG. Part of the reason for its start was because a disability group is mandated by the federal government. So, to my knowledge, that was one of the starters for our ERG here at KSC. And then we can just tie that back to DOG's mission as well, that Paul had gone into detail earlier on, just being committed to our employees with disabilities.
Right. I would also love to know any challenges. So this sounds like there's some momentum and good reasons for starting the employee challenges in creating it, or any bumps in the road, and then if so, how you overcame those. Everybody just embraced it. It seems like.
Well, I can speak to DOG again. As far as challenges go, for our ERG, Paul had touched on it earlier, is trying to maintain and grow our membership within our group, especially as people start to retire, and trying to, continue that outreach and interest in bringing more new members.
And there was actually another, I'm going to jump to a question that one of our panelists just put in, which I think, Abby, you might have spoken to a little bit, Kristen, but in what ways have you been successful recruiting employees from your organization to the ERG? Are there tactics that you have found to deliver the most engagement from your employees?
So I'll start with that one. As far as getting them engaged, one of the tactics that's worked really well for us, and actually is why I'm in Possibilities now, is just that personal interaction. You know, as you work with people every day and you see what they're good at, and you see what they're passionate about, and you see where a void, like for me, I was leaving being the chair of a Boy Scout troop. I was passionate about helping others. They saw that. They're like, hey, you know, come join us. We could really use your help with this. Is this something you'd be interested in? So just that personal interaction and making that request, asking someone, or letting your leadership know that you have these open positions, and they're like, oh my gosh, I have the perfect fit for that. And then they reach out and ask that person, you know, would you be interested in something like this? Things like that. But that also kind of leads to where we do have a slight bump in the road, especially after COVID, is not just getting the people into the ERG, because it's very easy to want to sign up for the ERG and be part of the newsletters, but getting them to be active in the ERG. And so that's something that our group is currently trying to overcome. We had a lot of activity and participation year round before COVID when everybody was on campus. But now that everyone's virtual, it's been a little harder to get people back into the everyday, every month, every week kind of activity with the ERG. So.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Abby. Having events on a continuous basis throughout the year, letting people know that we're up and running and alive. And we have a lot of great events, like the lunch. We do lunch and learn sessions a few times a year. I think we get a lot of participation in that. I think one of the big topics with neurodiversity, we did a lunch and learn back in April. And since that time, I think we've done 3 more lunch and learn with neurodiversity, and it's just becoming a very popular topic because neurodiversity covers a full range, anywhere from autism to ADHD to, what's that one, Asperger's syndrome. So they're all fit, and there's so many. I'm glad more awareness is being brought to that, especially people with dyslexia. I think dialectic. It's not that they're just a lot of intelligent people that just haven't had a chance to show their talent. So I'm very happy to see that coming on board. We have a lot of neurodiversity here at Kennedy Space Center.
How has the leadership, so in the C-suite of the organizations that you all work for, reacted to, supported, engaged in not only the development of this ERG, but any others?
I think the senior leaders of Kennedy Space Center, they're driving the DEIA, the diversity, inclusion. That's really been a big topic, hot topic here, coming from headquarters in DC, and it filters down to each of the 10 centers throughout NASA. So they're very, very supportive.
And each of our ERGs here at KSC have senior leaders, at least 2 senior leaders that are part of the leadership team. And again, the senior leaders are super supportive, help spread the word about events and encourage everybody to participate if you're able to.
Same here with Florida Blue. We have every single ERG has a senior leader as their executive sponsor that helps support events and get events across. And then something that we started doing 3 years ago, I believe this is my 3rd year doing it, is we group our ERGs into 2 or 3 at a time, and we attend one of the board meetings with the CEO and his immediate staff and actually talk about our ERG and, you know, who's on our board, if we have any open positions, what our upcoming events are, what we'd like them to attend, what our goals are or what we're striving to do, and how they can help us. And I know that just from doing that the last couple of years, I've actually had other senior leaders that are not part of our executive board reach out, and they're like, hey, what do you need? What can I help you do with this? This has been my experience with disabilities, which has actually prompted additional ideas and community events and things that we have done.
Yeah, I would add that we also have senior executive leadership support, as well as some of our local executives support as well. So that's important as we, do activities and things like that. It's important for their involvement and support.
I want to ask this question of all of you, and I think I'll start with you, Abby, and then move to Tammy, and then to Kennedy Space Center. What do you see on the horizon for possibilities? What do you see on the horizon for your ERG?
I see a lot of opportunity for us to educate and grow, which we're already educating. That's part of our mission. But to Paul's earlier point, neurodiversity and neurodivergent, that has become a really hot topic, especially in the corporate world, because of everything that was learned during COVID. And so we're kind of behind the 8 ball to a certain extent. So we're trying to truly educate not just our fellow employees and our fellow community, but also senior leadership on reasons why we need to update our tactics and try to not only attract that talent, but make sure we have all the right pieces in place to retain that talent once we get them in. So I see a lot of that in our future. And then community-wise and employee-wise, just a lot of stuff that we can keep and have on hand as additional resources. So one of my passion projects for this next year coming up is to do a series on IEPs and 504s and EPs for your exceptional children, and have it recorded to where anyone can go back and access it at any time, even if they missed it. Because I'm finding through the IEP process personally, and I'm sure there's other employees that have the same problem, that if you don't know how to do the research or you don't know what you're looking for, and you don't have a school that's necessarily hand feeding it to you, it's not the easiest process. And that's one stress that hopefully we can take off of people's plate, at least help them. So that's just an example of some of the additional stuff that we're going to be doing.
Yeah, I'd like to also share my thoughts on that. I think I feel like our future is very bright, and there's so much opportunity out there, and especially with the larger focus on mental health, and that being one of our pillars. But I think it's critical to call out, because I think generally people, especially that are working, they have busy lives, but they don't know that there are so many other people that are probably going through their same experiences. And one of our challenges actually is about is people not really wanting to join our ERG, because they might feel like, oh, well, I personally might not have a disability or something that is causing disruption maybe to my day or not. It's more of I think they believe it's more of but it's a perceived stigma that people have of people with maybe a mental health disorder. Because I think Donna mentioned this earlier in the presentation, that some disabilities you can't see them. They're invisible. So we're really trying to get out there to share personally, as one of the leaders in global services at J&J, I'm trying to get the word out to encourage people to join, because we never know what others are going through. So I think that's really critical to get the word out, to have more activities. So I'm really excited about our future. I think it's looking very bright.
Kristen?
Yeah, so we had touched on before growing our membership, and that has been one of our long-term goals for our ERG. But one of our near-term goals, which we've been working on for the last couple of years, has been the training for Schedule A for our supervisors. So they're aware of this rich pool of talent that exists within the disability community that they can tap into and bring to work within our agency. So that's one of the things that we're still striving to improve in the coming year too.
So two more questions, and I think we're going to wrap up. I think we've got a lot that we could talk about. This has really been incredible. And if you don't have the actual data on it, that's okay. But if you can even speak anecdotally, have you seen retention in your employees or with employees at the companies that you are working for since the implementation of these employee resource groups? Do you feel as though your ERG is playing a role in retention for the company?
Yeah, so I'll start that one if you don't mind. I do. I joined Blue after the ERGs had started, but I can tell you just from my experience and talking to other fellow employees, having the ERGs and having the ability to get involved and know that they have a voice within the company, within our community, and also within what we offer our fellow Floridians as far as insurance, it gives us a feeling of belonging. It gives us a feeling of purpose and that we are included. We are part of those larger decisions. So I do feel that it has helped with retention for us. I do not have any of the numbers on it, being that I'm not in HR, but I do feel that it does help.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. We do know that it has encouraged people to want to stay with us longer. And actually, I have one of my leaders on the ERG has a self-reported disability, and he has now started, and we really feel like this ERG has given him a voice. As Abby mentioned, it gives people the ability to share and to have a voice and to feel like they're not alone and they can thrive. So I have a perfect example of somebody who has started and grown in their position within J&J and allowed them to continue to work. So absolutely, it's helped.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I feel that the ERG definitely help employees have a safe place to come to and come to us to try to meet their reasonable accommodations. And with more awareness, and as Christian has mentioned, with the Schedule A, once we make it more aware through the supervisor and lead throughout Kennedy Space Center, I think employees are becoming more comfortable coming to their supervisors whenever they have a reasonable accommodation request, that they will be supported by their supervisor and also supported by their supervisors who join the ERGs. It makes all of us stronger. And as long as we continue to educate the community that people with disability do add value, add talent, and I believe that most of us have a great work ethic to support the mission.
Thanks. A final question, and then we will close. There, for our viewers that do not have an employee resource group, or specifically for a small business. So most of you are working at companies where you just have this incredible leadership and resources and great HR teams to be able to help keep these teams going. And as you know, sometimes with our small businesses, the CEO might have 5 or 6 roles. The HR director may also have 5 or 6 roles. What would you suggest to a company or to a small business that didn't have an employee resource group? Just kind of, real quick, how to get started.
Find someone with passion, someone that has a passion for either, in this case, people with disabilities, whether they have it themselves or they know or care for someone who does, or for whichever employee resource group you're trying to start. Find someone that has the passion, that wants to put the work in, because it's not always easy standing one up. It's not always easy reviving one, but with the right passion, you can find the right people to fit everything else, and the puzzle pieces will eventually fall into place.
Absolutely. I echo everything that you said, Abby. I think passion is the key, finding a passionate person about the situation or whatever ERG it is, right? So maybe doing like a survey within the business might be something that you can kind of find out that way what people are interested in and where their passion lies. And then ask, maybe part of the survey could be, would you be willing to start whatever it happens to be, maybe it's mental health, whatever, but find the person that has the passion to move that forward. I think certainly we're very fortunate to have a lot of executive leadership support, but I think it can be done in a very small business as well, as long as you have the people that are willing to step up and be passionate and support it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with both Abby and Tammy. I think something else that I would add is if you need assistance, go to your HR department, or if you have an office of diversity and equal opportunity, search for help from them or support in addition to senior leadership. And if you have multiple centers, multiple locations, reach out to those areas as well to see if there's also similar interest, or if they've started setting up something there too.
Thank you. I appreciate all of that feedback, all of your time today. It's just been a treat to listen to you. I'm going to wrap us all up. We've got about a minute to spare as before we say farewell. Once again, thank you, Abby. Thank you, Tammy, Kristen. We're sorry Nicole couldn't be with us today. Please give her our best. And last but not least, thank you, Paul, for your time and your talent and treasure with us today. We want to make sure that you know some ways that you can get involved with the Able Trust and have access to more great conversations like this. Please invite us to come and have a conversation with your team. If you go to our website, abletrust.org, you can view lots of great data and research. We have many opportunities to sponsor some of the work that we're doing across the state, particularly with our youth programs. So everything we do, of course, is moving us to be the best direct support organization for VR and to strengthen that program across the state. And we can't do that without your support. Last but not least, make sure you're joining our mailing list. We've got a lot of great content coming out that you can pick and choose based on what works and what's meaningful for you. If you are in the corporate world, or if you're a service provider or working directly with students, you just find your place. But go to abletrust.org to learn more about that. Last but not least, I just want to thank our sponsors for Disability Employment Awareness Month again. We were fortunate that we had Florida Blue on with us today, who was a latte leader. And of course, joining us from NextEra Energy, Florida Power and Light today. And you can see a lot of incredible organizations that have been partners of the Able Trust, and we just really appreciate them and their time. And we will continue to do this work for the rest of the year. That will conclude our webinar today and our webinar Wednesday series for Disability Employment Awareness Month. Thanks for taking the time to listen to me and to our great friends today. If you need to contact us, please reach out to me, and very soon you'll be able to find a recording of the webinar on our website. Wishing all of you a wonderful rest of the week. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Bye-bye.